Man, you bitch niggas better ante up or elevate. I need 6-figure money, won't have the bucks and hella cake. Fuck boy, I been on dummy, shooting hella ops, make them a day. If not him, then kill his mama, make him feel his wrath in the hella way. Hydro shock bullets diving through his chest, watch as they swim away. I don't stop shooting till you die, and yo, that's nothing, then I can get away.
What's poppin' with y'all, man? Hit that like button. You already know how niggas stepping into it, man. Hey, today's topic is about celestial and astral spirits, man. That's over the cities, you hear me? That's over the cities, that's controlling over these cities. So, you know, I got my homie right here, No Life Twos, New Life Twos. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Salute to New Life Twos, man. Y'all make sure y'all go like, subscribe his channel and hit that notification bell. But we finna learn about these spirits and how they control over these cities. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Everybody always saying Los Angeles is a place where it done lost many souls and many great souls that sacrificed many souls too. So, like I said, let me get this right here, y'all. Let's dig deeper into that. Let's learn a little more about this, man.
Alright, peace, family. It's your brother Yosef, and I'm back with another video. I hope everybody has been doing well. I hope everybody's been great. Today, family, I want to talk about how astral spirits rule over cities. How astral spirits rule over cities. And really what this video is going to be about, to make it more simply understood, is this video is going to be about the spirit of a city. Yes, a city actually has a spirit, right? If you live in San Francisco, that's a spirit, family. If you live in Chicago, that's a spirit. If you live in New York, that's a spirit, right? And
hey, y'all know how they say Chicago got that demonic spirit over it, right? Everybody always say that Chicago got the devil over it. You know, all them murders and stuff, all them boys come out the womb thinking about killing the next person or killing, person of their own color and kind. It's crazy, but he on to something already in the beginning of the video. Salute to big homie, man. Yourself, that's it's deep, man. It hit deep and it hit different when you start learning this and people don't recognize this, like almost like the gematria thing, gang. When you put that together, you start peeping like, yeah, this shit make a lot of sense. It's going together. Like murders and these numbers is adding up. These rituals adding up. These sacrifices is adding up, man. On these special evented days. You feel me? Like, come on, man.
I ain't seen it explained one time.
And another thing, gang, y'all gotta really work with me. If y'all see some lagging and shit like that, man, I am working off this different what's the name? It ain't StreamYard, so just work with me. It's a whole different program, gang. So work with me. I'll be back on StreamYard no time, so I just don't want to wear out the what's the name. You only got so many uploads to do with that until you pay that big old price. Let's keep going though.
In my life, explained, I saw it in a movie once. It was called Constantine, City of Demons. If you guys haven't watched that, if you get a chance, go watch it. It's called Constantine, City of Demons. Alright, City of Demons, family. Very powerful little cartoon show. Very dope. So, yeah, family. It's called Constantine, City of Demons. So, go watch that. And I thought that, they didn't really explain it, but they showed how Los Angeles was an actual spirit. I'm like, yo, that's kind of true, Also, I had people ask me about, is it true that, hey, spirits rule over cities, and how do you contact that spirit? And, and what really made me do this video was last night I was in a dream, and somebody asked me that question in a dream, does my city have a spirit over it? And I'm like, wow, let me do a video on this, man. You know what I mean? So I can explain it on a deeper level. So that's what I'm gonna do tonight, family. And also got a cool story at the end of this video that I want to share about an experience I had with a city. You know what I mean? And I'll get into that later in the video. So I just want to say before I start, you guys can check me out on Patreon, Brother Yosef on Patreon. You can also check out my website, newlifetools@gmail.com.
Okay, Yosef, I like that. My bad, I might have mixed his name up, but shout out to Yosef again.
You can also check out TP Ministries cheapindustries.org, if you want to get your indigenous identity. All right. So, yes, family, I just want to put that out there before we get started. So, also, yes, I am opening up consultations again for people who want them. Understand it's going to be a line, so it's going to take a minute for me to get to you. If you want the consultation, just keep hitting me up about it, and I will eventually get to you about that consultation. All right. So, family, the first thing I want to talk about dealing with this topic is that the thing that everybody needs to understand is that all cities are built on a planetary grid. Right? There's a grid system that some people call them the chakras of the planet, right? But there's a grid system that actually works, and it kind of moves throughout the planet. It doesn't move, but the energy moves throughout the planet. And in these grid areas, there is a lot of energy. The planet itself holds a lot of energy there. So if the planet holds a lot of energy, it makes it easier for certain spirits to come in and out of these parts of the earth. All right. So if you look at any major city, it's built on a grid line. Right. New York is built on a grid line. And sometimes there's people who actually map these areas out, and they purposely start towns here. Usually all cities were towns at one time, and then they became these humongous cities at one point, right? So these places were built in these areas on purpose, family. Even the American Indians knew that they should put their people in certain areas where Mother Earth had stronger energy. Okay? So that's the first thing I want you guys to understand before I just tell y'all, yeah, every city's a spirit. I want you guys to really grasp what I'm saying. Alright? So these planetary grids don't only allow electric energy and chi, right? Chi energy to flow all throughout the earth. Like the chi energy and the org energy or orgone energy is heavier in certain areas, right? Certain mountain regions, certain regions where the city have these powerful grids, right? The org energy, ORG, you get with the word organic, orgasm, all that good stuff. The org energy, the life force energy is heavier, and the electricity that runs through the planet is heavier in these areas, family, alright? But also the astral energy, alright, is heavier in these areas. So in these areas, in certain cities, family, believe it or not, people tend to wake up spiritually faster. Right? There's movements where spiritual movements happen faster in certain cities than they would do in another city. Okay? That's because of the energy grid. Like, it's just the truth that New York City has probably one of the biggest and most powerful grids in the whole planet. Right? And this is why you will see a lot of forms of music and a lot of famous people come out of New York, right? And a lot of spirituality. Right, a lot of the big spiritual teachers came from.
Hey, that's the shawties. You already know the shawties in the back. A lot of stuff with the cities. That's crazy. That's deep. That's real crazy. But yeah, man. Sorry about the interference. That was little shawty asking about some gum, man. Some gum. Hey, y'all make sure y'all tell them shawties you can't swallow that gum, G. That stuff lasts in your system. It really lasts in your system. It's hard to dissolve. I don't believe gum really dissolve. Do it, babe. Gum don't dissolve, huh? In that system? Right. No, I don't think so. I don't believe it do. At the end of the day, that's what the hell he asking for. And it's sort of an interruptive thing, gang. But anyway, back to the video, man. Y'all gotta listen to what he's saying and pay attention to what he's saying, man.
York, right? A lot of spiritual energy is in New York, and not just spiritual energy, but energy period is in New York, right? And I'm talking about New York City. And
that's something too. I never heard that about New York, man. I never known there was a lot of spiritual energy in New York. I really didn't. I never knew that. I heard about Los Angeles 1,000 times. Chicago. We hear about Burning Mississippi. We hear about Mississippi a lot. New York, I never really heard of that. That's new.
And there's a lot of astral energy there as well, right? Astral energy.
But so, once you done, I can redo
this is where you get the idea that,
and then spring them out.
Cities mirror each other in the astral
world, like America.
Right? So hip hop came out of New York, right? So there's a lot of things in the astral plane family that actually existed and does still exist, like other forms of music that we haven't even heard of yet, that we haven't brought down, right? So in order to bring that music down, you have to be in the right grid line, and the right type of person have to be able to channel that type of music down, or a certain group of people have to be able to channel that music down, right? And you know how it goes down here in the world. You get a certain type of music down here, the whole, the world disrupts it, and they mess the music up, and what I mean by that is they pervert the music. Hip hop, when it was first put out, was something that was, was a storytelling, high vibrational form of music, and it has become something totally different today. That that to the point where people actually agree with drill music and certain types of.
Believe it or not, yeah, around the world, they all agree with the drill music culture, man. The drill culture is something different in some of its own origin. It originated of its own sense. Everybody give Chief Keef the credit for making it, originally. Like they give him the credit for making the O-Block, but the drill music is the origin of its own. This shit crazy, man. It hit deep. When you get artists from all over the world, kids and different nations and different cultures and backgrounds all over the world, and they want to do this murderous music. You feel me? Talking about how they killing and slaying people and how they, burying people. Like, man, it's deep.
Murder music and the music that actually talks about whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that's because the street element, which I'm going to get into later, the street element was put into the music. Right? And the street element had a lot.
I had a video that said that, y'all. The streets got a lot to do with the music industry, man. Streets have a lot to do with the music industry. You better believe it, because the industry and the labels and these record labels and executives only sign the people that come straight from the hoods, straight from the ghetto, straight from the slums of poverty. So, when you put your mind on that, you like, damn, you see where these cats coming from. Some of these cats ain't had parents, man. They ain't had mothers or fathers growing up, so they willing to put a bullet in somebody and not think nothing of it. The shit crazy. They willing to, come murder you and your whole family and not have a emotion, a feeling, or anything about it. That's different. That's why drill music is so bad for the culture. Like, just not any culture, our culture alone, my nigga. We the rulers. They tell you that. So it's like, wow, man, when that drill culture and us get connected, it's a bad combination, man. A bad combination.
A lot to do with people just trying to survive. You know what I mean? So a lot of that got put into the music, you know what I mean? And that kind of just flipped. And everybody heard that story. How they used NWA to actually put the street element into the music. A big meeting was had and all that stuff. Everybody know that story, right? But at the same time, this is what they do to a lot of forms of music, family. And also, certain forms of music they won't let come out because they need to control it.
Right.
And some forms of music is so powerful it can't be controlled. And what do
That's true. That's like when you go to college, you learn about the frequencies and the notes. You learn about the note frequencies, you feel me? I got a friend who was telling me something about that, like the B note. The B note is a note that'll make you shit on yourself, literally. You feel me? If they play that note in a certain frequency gang, in a auditorium, you will, it will happen to you. And that's crazy because it shows you how deeply the music is bonded with our souls, my nigga. It's a soul tie with this music. It's a soul tie with these sounds. It's a soul tie with this harmonic, energy that's flowing through the world, through the universe. So, like, what he's saying, he on point. He on point about that. I heard about that and I read about that multiple times. People show experiences of it too, man. If you go on YouTube, you look it up, do your Google research. They show experiences of these waves and these sound waves and these frequencies, how they change and alter your moods, your characters, they alter your mind, they alter how you feel, it can even alter your physical appearance. The shit crazy, and that's the B note. The B note will alter your physical appearance, trust me.
What do I mean by control? Well, somebody has to be able to, every race on the planet has to be able to function in that music. Every race on the planet has to be able to vibe to that music. It can't just be for one generation, because that the music is so powerful it can actually uplift that generation.
Right.
Right. I always talk about this, how there's one form of
the music is so powerful it can uplift that generation. Y'all know what uplift mean? That mean a rise. That mean a upbringing. That mean, you know, that's something different, man. When you look at it in that sense, some of y'all don't put y'all spiritual eyes on. You gotta look at it in the sense of what it's made for. You know, music ain't made for a physical thing. You can play it physically, but you know, spiritually, that's what the fuck it's for. It's for your spirit. It moves your soul. It don't moves you physically. You know, your soul moves you, and that's what gets you up and jumping and dancing and shit. But at the end of the day, the music, it hits you in the mind, hits your soul right away, and then it gets you feeling it. Your mood change. You feel like, yeah, I feel this shit. You know, and that's what he's saying. Like, it can uplift the culture. It can uplift you for the wrong purposes or the right ones. You know, but at the end of the day, it's up to you how you let the music frequencies. Y'all know them 808s. Remember the 808s? Them 808s was bad, trust me. It's a negative frequency. It's a negative frequency. If you look it up on Google, it'll tell you, gang. It's certain 808s you can play. Back in the days, like when Soul Train was around, gang, those 808s was the soul touching frequency. You know what I'm saying? It's different 808s, it's sets of this shit. And in the music class shit, they only teach you a certain set. They only teach you a certain length of music, a certain octave, a certain, you know, to keep you balanced at that level, and that's crazy.
Dancing called crumping, that they actually spiritually shut this music down because they didn't want this music coming out. You know, these kids was having Kundalini rushes, you know, from crumping, you know, and doing certain dances that not everybody on the planet could do. But the dances were so spiritual, they was tapped into their ancestral DNA. Right? So they shut that type of music down. Brother Bobby Emmett talked about how the funk music, they never let it get big. They put out disco music because they were scared of funk music. So they never let the funk get too big because they say you can't fake the funk. Right? So they never let it get too big because not everybody can get down with the funk.
Right.
And the type of people that could get down with it, it would have uplifted that people. Right? When you understand the science of music, how music is so powerful, it influences the whole generation.
Like you say, understand the science of music. I think that's what we all need to do. Understand the science of music, man. The science of music is a weird thing, right? It's weird. It's almost like the extraterrestrial life form. And the thing about it, shit, you know, with celestials and us being terrestrials, the extraterrestrials ain't too far off. Like, man, it's all crazy, man. It's a tap in thing, though. I think it's all bonded, though. Some way, somehow, all this shit is bonded, man.
Hip hop is so powerful; it influences all 7 continents. It influences everybody in the world, right? So we got to think about those types of things, and this is why they don't let certain types of music come out, family. Right? I want to make that very clear. But certain cities have these grids where they can pull down music easier than somebody in another part of the world because of the grid line they're on. Right? And it just takes the right people with the right biology and the right mindset to be able to channel this music out. Right? And that's kind of what happens in these grid lines, right? But you also got other forms of music like blues that was invented, like, if I'm not mistaken, in Mississippi or Memphis, Tennessee, right? Or
now that's deep. Blues deep. That's real deep. That's a different type of music. It get you. I ain't gonna lie. The blues sort of bring you down. You know what I'm saying? That sad music bring you down right there. That's the music that have you feeling real. All sorts of ways. Yeah. You know.
Or rock and roll. You know, was invented in certain parts of the. So we got to understand, like, this has a lot to do with the grid system, family, that these people grew up in and these people live in, that this astral energy is being channeled down. Okay? It's being channeled down, family. So that's one thing that happens a lot. And also, like I said, the cities mirror each other on these grids. You saw that in the TV show Stranger Things. How they would go to the upside world and it would literally mirror, you know, the physical world, even though this world vibration was lower. That world's vibration was lower. Alright? Another thing to understand, family, is that the people's thoughts, right? The thoughts of the people in that city and the trauma of the people in that city is what kind of creates and molds the spirit of that city. Right? And sometimes
my bad, gang. Yeah, that's right. I think the trauma, like he said, you know, it negates the power of that soul of the city, gang. It do. Like the problems and all the bullshit that soul probably went through when it was on Earth. It negates how it controls, the city and what type of effect it have over the city. Look at Chicago, for instance, man. I'm talking about so many murders, man. By the numbers, shit. One weekend you catch 84. I'm talking about, dog, this is wicked. It's so wicked. But at the end of the day, do you know what you're dealing with out here? That's why I said, y'all got to recognize this is spiritual warfare. It ain't the same thing as everybody physical eye is seeing. And that's why that Bible said that. But at the end of the day, who's to believe me? You got to do your own research, man. Go pay attention. And why is it that everybody over YouTube is coming up with these same stories? So all this shit is fake? All this shit is make to believe? Nah, not really, man. Ain't no coincidences. God ain't make none. So,
Sometimes that energy changes. Sometimes that energy evolves more to the left side or the right side, right? But the thoughts and the traumas of that city, the thoughts of the people and the traumas of the people in that city is what kind of shapes and molds the spirit, right, for that city, right? And as that city grows and evolves, family, that city will start to influence the people. But it will start to influence mostly the weak-minded people in a negative way, right?
See, it influenced the weak-minded people in a negative way. You heard what he said, and that's usually how the devil attack gang. He attack the weak-minded people in a negative way. He makes sure he get your ass, just like he said these spirits do. And when you start recognizing that you're dealing with the spirits in the world that we're living in and on these days, gang, you start understanding that, like, oh, okay. So that means I can't let a motherfucker warp my mind. Yeah, you can't let nobody warp your mind. Your mind is yours to be warped, gang. That's why they told you from the start of mind is a terrible thing to waste. And who was it telling us that? White people. They already knew the code. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Oohs know the code on why they don't want nobody to go read that book Kyrie Irving was talking about. But that's another story. That's another story at the end of the day. When you get the time, go read it. Go pay attention to it. Look at it. And one thing we do need to know is, like, this shit's serious, man. It's getting realer and realer out here, though. But like he said, man, it's that, man. That's how it go. It go for the weak-minded. The weak-minded, they gonna tame the other strong or half strong-minded people, and the half strong-minded people gonna try to tame the strong-minded people. And it's that order. It's like a food chain, gang. But if your chain locked, then you already know, like, yo, ain't no you bar none, then shit, you should be straight. You should be cultured. If you got the armor of God on, simple as that. That's what they tell you. The full armor, head to toe. Some of y'all ain't even learned the full armor, head to toe. You got to get the full armor. It starts somewhere, and it starts in you. It starts in you, so you got it. Don't let nobody tell you you don't. Don't let nobody tell you different, guy. But believe you me, it's spiritual connections and spiritual bonds with these cities and deaths and mortality rates, death mortality rates that's going up, gang, around the world. Like, it's spiritual bonding connected with this shit. So
the spirit is looking for energy, looking to be fed. And a lot of times, but they will actually influence the city itself, will influence the thoughts of the people. It's like why you hear some people say, I'm doing this for my city, right? I put on for my city, right? Or I love my city. Who are you talking to? It's like you're talking about a god or a person, right? But they'll even tattoo the city on their body, right? Nothing wrong with that. It's cool. But do you really understand who your city is and what your city is about? Does your city lean more towards a demonic energy? Does your city lean more towards an angelic energy or elemental energy? Right? It's all different. So what am I really saying here? What I'm saying, family, is that all cities, the spirit of a city is nothing but a very powerful thought form. That's all cities are. They're very powerful thought forms that grow with the people. So this is why you have some cities that die, right? Some cities are dying out. They don't have the energy they once had, right? Like, prime example, family, I come from a city up in upstate New York where the city is pretty much dying, right? Rochester, right? That city is kind of like, it doesn't have the vibe I remember as a kid. Rochester, New York had the first indoor mall in U.S. history. Walt Disney came to the cut, and it was like all these investors came into my city and was building up, and then they all left in the 1950s. And I saw the decline of my city in the 90s. I really did. It was a time when all the big rappers and all the music people would come to my city. It would be a city you had to stop through, right? And even though a lot of famous people came out of my city as well, but it's like the energy slowly declined. I saw it, and the way that New York State is acting, from my opinion, it was time for me to go. Right? It was time for me to go, family. So some cities are literally losing the energy, and if they lose energy, they become more negative. Right? If the city energy starts to decline, it starts to become more negative. Now, some cities you have where it's sectioned off, where some of the city could be uplifting and is moving forward and all these different types of futuristic things, and then you got some parts of the city that's very negative.
Right. And don't believe he ain't got no truth to what he's saying, y'all, because at the end of the day, there's some truth to all of this shit, bro. This is why this shit coming out like this. This is why it's been played out like this. This is why this shit happening. Like I said, ain't no coincidences. And when he come forth with, when God come forth with that power, how he be doing, it do come forth. And you can do to stop it. So at the end of the day, y'all better do some research on your city. Maybe your city got a spirit over it. You never know. Maybe your city don't. Maybe it does. But I believe every city in America does. We hold a lot of blood on our soil, gang. They always tell us that every country hate us too. You gotta imagine why they hate us and why they really figure we is the softest country, but yet, in physical eyes, man, we the strongest. We number 3, but we ain't number 1 yet, though. It's somebody ahead of us. At the end of the day, we never won the airstrikes, though. I can't lie to you. We never won. Our military is never won the airstrikes. At the end of the day, man, China's never won no foot. They got 1 million man soldiers. Like, come on, gang, you can't beat that on foot. You can't. But let's see what else he talking.
Right. So since people don't pray to cities, right, and they don't, people don't usually pray to cities. What happens, family, is a lot of the city takes its energy from people's thoughts, from the way people think in that city.
From the way people think, what's crazy? That's what homeboy said. He said, usually you can control your life off your thoughts. That's part of manifestation. You feel me? Because you can only manifest something in your life by thinking it daily and telling yourself and making yourself believe that, and going with that full faith on that, right? So it's like Dragon Ball Z, though, gang. Y'all remember when Goku when he pulled together the spirit bomb, my nigga, what he used to do? He used to ask the people around the world for the energy. You feel me? That's what he did. He used to ask the people around the world for the energy, gang. Like, yo, people, give me your energy. Like, dog, that's crazy, though. It makes sense on my mama, because not only that, Captain Planet, it was a lot of cartoons, movies, TV shows that showed us these repeated rituals. I call them repeated because they kept trying to drill it in our head and show us, hey, it's a sign. It's a sign. Pay attention. Come on, generation after generation, they continue to do this in each cartoon and movie and show. Something is popping up. Something going up.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. You go to certain parts of the cities, you gotta be careful. Mm-hmm. Like LA, right? Los Angeles. You go to Los Angeles, you gotta be careful. Mm-hmm. You can't be wearing certain things. You can't move a certain way. It's just the type of energy that city has. Mm-hmm. Right? You go to Chicago, certain parts of Chicago you shouldn't go to. Right?
The police don't even go. So certain parts of the city, the police won't even travel, y'all. Y'all know that, man. If you're from the city or you've been to Chicago, you know the land. You already know what I'm talking about. Certain parts up there, you cannot go travel. The police won't even come say your ass are. So if a motherfucker rob you and they blick you down, you feel me? You ain't getting no rescue. You ain't getting nobody to come to your motherfucking savior point, gang. It's over. You might as well rest up right there until the next game. You feel me? And that's deep. It's real deep.
So when another thing, family, that as certain areas of the city becomes more negative, or the city itself starts to die, it will demand a sacrifice to give it more energy. So usually this has to be someone that a lot of people think about. Someone in the community. A lot of people love this person in the community, and he dies from a gunshot, or just a celebrity happened to come through and they get shot. You know what I'm saying? That's a sacrifice.
Blood sacrifice.
And that's it. Right.
Now that's a blood sacrifice right there. That's a blood sacrifice for your ass. You all hear how clearly he explained it. You feel me? Like that's deep because that's the truth.
Or just a celebrity happen to come through and they get shot. You know what I'm saying? That's a sacrifice in that city, right? And sometimes the city will demand that, right? Like I said, in certain areas, the heart of the city is downtown, family. So usually it wants to sacrifice to be downtown, somewhere in the downtown region. And we all know that.
Yeah, like Duck, R.P. Big Clout, you feel me? A couple more artists and celebs I don't want to have to go through, but yes, that's true. Every city downtown is your heart. Every major state and the capital of the major city capital, that's your heart. Downtown, nigga, right away. Downtown is the heart of the city of that state right there. So, at the end of the day, it's like this. That's where y'all gonna take place, the sacrifice? Pop.
Most cities, the poorest people live more towards the downtown area. You gotta think about this. And the people who are doing well tend to live on the outskirts of the city. Right? So why do you always put the people who are the poorest, the people who think the negative, near the heart of the city? Right? The only city I saw that wasn't like that, and I could be wrong. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. But was when my mother lived in Memphis and I would go visit, I would notice downtown was beautiful. And as you go out on the outskirts of Memphis, it got more, more hood. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was weird. I'd never seen a city like that before. Downtown, people was chilling. They had nice, And then as I went up to the outskirts of Memphis, it got more, you know what I'm saying? It got more crazy. So it was like backwards to me in that city, But I always noticed that in most cities, that's how it is, right? So, like I said, remember, this very powerful thought form, whether it's called Los Angeles, New York, sometimes it demands a sacrifice.
And, like he said, I think a lot of cities demand sacrifices. Only reason I think that because, you got a lot of cities with, self-centered motherfuckers, man. And that self-centered energy is like, it's treacherous. It's real treacherous, gang. It's so treacherous that shit tap to every soul. It tap to every soul around you and the city. So you gotta learn how to separate yourself from that shit. Fuck that, gang. You gotta separate yourself from that, like he said. You can separate yourself from that soul entitled to city. Like, man, come on, man. For real. Ain't nothing that's that's gonna stand up to God power, gang. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. A motherfucker think that it would or it could, but shit. End results, at the end game, like Avenger said, yeah, it's a real end game method that's gonna be put to this game. Y'all better go start reading, paying attention. He on the way back. He most definitely on the way back. I mean, it's too much going on. It's too much to be known. It's too much getting exposed. Like, dude, what is the world coming to?
Of somebody so it can get more energy, right? So it can get more energy. Now, if that city's doing well, you will see that city thrive, and more people will be drawn to that city for a better life, right? So more people will be drawn to that city for a better life if that city's actually starting to strive and it doesn't have a lot of negative energy. So at one time, Atlanta was the city to go to, especially if you was a music person.
Yeah. Right?
But now Atlanta's overpopulated. I'm not saying Atlanta's a bad city. Atlanta's a beautiful city.
And how is it overpopulated? It's filled with motherfuckers that's not from it. It's filled with motherfuckers that's not from it, gang. Simple as that. How else can you explain it? Like my city and your city. Your city overpopulated with plenty of people that's not from it. They running from something. They probably running from their home state. You feel me? I'm gonna be real with you.
I have a good time every time I go there, but it has become overpopulated. You know what I'm saying? There's too many people there. So the new Atlanta has become, in my opinion, Charlotte, North Carolina. I almost moved there myself. Charlotte, North Carolina. Beautiful city. It's also what you call a gateway city because a lot of people seek refuge in Charlotte, North Carolina from out of different countries, and a lot of people come there. And it's the same thing in Atlanta. A lot of people from different countries and different parts of the city live in Atlanta. Well, Charlotte, North Carolina is the same thing. A lot of people from all over the world, they come to Charlotte, North Carolina. It's like what you call a gateway city, right? And those cities tend to be beautiful. You know, hopefully the city can keep its energy up, and you know, nothing negative happens. You know, and I'm not a political person. I don't really get into the Democrat Republican thing, but you know, I have my own opinions about it. But you know, it is what it is. I'll just leave it at that, right? And once again, family, this video is not Brother Yosef talking facts. It is do your own research. You know what I'm saying? Do your own research. And you know, this is not medical advice, legal advice, travel advice. Please do your own research. Please do your own research, family. So I had to write down some notes, y'all, to make sure I don't forget to tell y'all anything. So I just wanted to make sure I covered those things. You know, so it can happen now. Just cause a person dies doesn't make that city demonic, right? Too many murders, too many people thinking negative, the city will actually turn demonic. Absolutely, the city will actually be run by demons. It will be ran by a demonic energy. I apologize to say this, but is this true? Memphis, Tennessee is the demonic city. I'm not trying to put nobody's city down, right? I'm just trying to say that every time I go to Memphis, I'm in a spiritual fight. It's literally people trying to kill me in astral plane. It's like they hate my guts in Memphis, Tennessee. The last time I was there, well, I stopped there on my way to Texas when I drove from my city, and even my homeboys like, man, it's a vibe down here. I don't know, you know, because we sensitive to energy, and I always knew it. You know, I could feel certain things when I was there, right? It's a beautiful city, got a lot of culture, beautiful culture. It had good food when I went there, but it was just the energy. Like, it's a lot of suicides. I noticed in the South as well. Period, in the South, even down here in Houston, there's a lot of in-home violence. You know what I'm saying? People kill their own husbands and their wives and their own kids. It's crazy down here in the South. You know, but overall, I remember in Memphis, like every time I went there, man, you know, it was like I would have this dream where people was trying to attack me every single time. It was crazy, right? So some cities are like that. I feel it when I travel through certain cities, right? So I want you guys to be mindful of that. You know what I'm saying? I want you guys to be mindful of it. Now there's a lore that says that the spirit of the city lives at the highest building in the city. Or what they would say the highest points, because some cities have mountains that are higher than most buildings. So the lore is the spirit of the city lives in the highest building of the city, or at the highest points of the city, right, of that city. That's where the spirit of the city lives. That's what they would say. And if you wanted to meet the city, that's where you would have to go. But the city is the people. It is the thought form that moves through the homeless people, the rich people, the average everyday people. That's what the spirit of the city is, family. It is a very powerful thought form. Alright? A very powerful thought form. So I wanted to tell a story real quick about one time in my city when I actually,
in my bag, gang, you know, had to get that good dinner prepared. Hopefully y'all eat, man. Let your cats go get y'all some good food. Get shit done. Yeah, go make it happen though, gang. Go grab something. I'm finna be right there back and finish playing that video for you cats. Anyway, gang, yes. Now, like I said, I already know I done missed half of this vid, but it's okay, it's cool. As long as y'all was watching it and paying attention, because some of this stuff he popping off, gang, I sort of been popping off for a minute. Go check out throughout all the 780 something videos I got, gang. You'll see it like, yeah, he was saying this shit. Yeah, a lot of people have been too, so can't take that credit from them. But at the end of the day, do your own self-research, man.
Was sleeping and actually met an aspect to the city that people call the streets or the hood, right? So you could be from the hood, but you're not from the streets. So it's two different things. But this entity told me he was the streets. Okay, and I was just flying around doing what I do, and I seen this entity jumping in and out of people, right, as it was walking down the street. And I asked it, like, who are you? Like, what's going on? It pretty much told me that I am the streets. You know what I'm saying? And these people I'm jumping in are my children. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And that kind of gave, and this was a few years ago, and that kind of gave me the first idea, and I started putting myself into study about how these cities actually have spirits that rule over it. Now, there's a level to it where there could be a demon and an angel. There are angels that rule over cities, and they have to report back what's going on. But on a lower level, it's the thought form and the streets. Like somebody say, I'm from the streets. What you're really saying, I'm being birthed by the streets. If you're from the streets, you're not from the streets. You're from your mother. But some people, the streets raised them. That's what it was. So they learn certain things, certain survival techniques. And I'm not putting nobody down.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is,
right,
when you say stuff like that, you're saying that I'm a child of that. I'm a child of that. And that entity is a real thought form. The streets is a real thought form. The hood is a real thought form. The city, whatever city you rep, whatever city you're from, is a real thought form. This is a thought form. Right? This is where I'm from. I'm not from New York City. I'm from upstate New York. Right? But it's a thought form. Right? And if you notice in that thought form, the people think a certain way. The people, to the point where the people even develop an accent. There's an accent that the people have. Right? So it's a thought form. I don't care if you're from Sydney, Australia. In Sydney, Australia, that city has a thought form that rules over it. Right? But some cities have more energy than others. Like New York City is probably the most energetic city on the planet. There's a lot of energy that runs through New York City. Right? So I wanted to tell you guys this just to so you guys can understand, because when you talk about the hood or the streets as well, you talk about a network. Right? This is why no matter where you go in any part of the world, the streets is the streets. Right? You could be from Memphis and you could be from New York City. And two real dudes from New York City and Memphis, when they see each other, real recognize real. Because they both from the same network. So they recognize each other, right? You could be from Virginia and you could be from Texas. When two people see each other and they really live that street life, the real recognize real. Right? It's a network. It's a thought form network that these two people was raised. Even though they're from two different cities, the streets is the streets. Right? If you was born and raised in the ghetto,
right,
or the hood,
yeah,
and you grew up eating, juleps and getting into fights at the playground, and your clothes getting dirty, your mom was yelling, "Get your ass in the house!" And if you grew up in that type of environment with popsicles and your mama had a switch on the porch,
right,
all that, then you went to the store, you had food stamps, you know. We used to get picked on for having food stamps at the corner store.
Oh God.
You know what I'm saying? But everybody in the street.
Pretty much like he said, and what he's saying is, yeah, these cities, they got soul ties to them. They got souls that's controlling them. Whether they evil, whether they good, whether they bad, whether they, for worse, better. They got souls controlling them, gang. I'm gonna tell you something. When you start recognizing that and peeping that, you start understanding, man, what the life I live in. And the day you wake up, let me know, nigga. But until then, hit that like button, man. Subscribe if you haven't hit that notification bell. And I am out.